Okay, so for Mac people, I want to show you after a day of working on R, whether it's 15 minutes or a few hours, you want to save your work. I've shown you on the YouTube tutorial list how to do this on a PC. Principally, it's the same thing, but it's better, especially at this early stage of you working in a new software, to literally see how it's going to look for you. Okay, so you've opened up your console. As you can see, we have an example right here, and we've done some work, right? We've got some code. If you look to the right, we got our little command list, which is just the history of everything that we did in this session, which isn't much, but there's 3 lines of code. And let's say we don't want to repeat those 3 lines of code tomorrow, and we got to actually run right now because we have something else to do. So we want to save this work, and we want to come back tomorrow, and we want to be able to start right where we ended off today. So first thing you need to do, if you're not seeing this little panel on the right hand side or on the left hand side that shows your commands, this is called the history panel. Then what you need to do is click on that icon right in the middle there that I'm on right now, okay? And that will, if you click on it and then click it again, you see it shows it and it hides it. I would recommend always keeping that open. And when you start R, as I said in a previous video, on a new session, I would always open it up right away before you do anything and go to the bottom right and clear the history. But don't do that now because we actually are in the middle of some work and we want to actually end things. But if you're starting, open that up right away, clear history, start fresh, and then now pretend that we've done some work and we want to close things up and want to walk away. So right under clear history, you're going to see save history. So click save history, and you name this something appropriate. I would always add like whatever you're going to call it, code, to the end of it, because what you're saving actually is code. Okay, I'd recommend also that you're organizing all this stuff into one folder, but for now, you do whatever you like. We're just going to save this. Okay, and just make sure you know where you're saving this. Okay, so now we can go ahead and close R completely. Okay, so we've saved our history, and I want to show you how it's going to look like to open it back up. So here, it's going to ask you to save workspace image. This is another way of working with R, which I do not recommend. This is good for people who are working on a long-term project, not people who need to jump from one lab to another lab that has nothing to do with the previous one. You don't want to save this way. So always say don't save here. Find that file that we were just that we just saved. R. Okay, so open it. It's going to ask you what application do you want to use. So choose application, and you're going to choose TextEdit, which everyone has on there. So go under applications and find TextEdit. Everyone has on a Mac. It's like the most basic text editing software. There it is. So it's very simple. Don't try to open it in Word or anything like that. Click open. And what you're going to see are the 3 lines of code that we had saved, if you recall, right? So here, at this point, you have all the history from that particular day that you were working in R. And it's here. And so if you wanted to start fresh, if you wanted to continue rather working in R, you could copy this code and paste it into the console on 3-4 days from now when you continue working on the project. You copy and paste it, and it will run all the code and bring you back up to speed where you were when you closed last time. Okay, and then you can continue working from there. And that's the workflow that we're going to use. Okay, so between watching this video and also the one where I do it on the PC, you should get a grasp of the workflow. Now, when you look at your code, oftentimes you're going to have more than 3 lines. You might have 20, 30 lines. I'd recommend you open it up like we just did in TextEdit right after you save it, just like we did right here. Clean it up. By that I mean, if you made mistakes, delete those lines. If you duplicated things like 10 times, you don't need to have all that clutter. clean it up, and carefully review it. And you'll probably distill all your code down to 10 to 12, 15 lines of code, honestly, for all these labs. So once you clean it up, so for example, maybe delete that line DF because we didn't really want to do that anymore. So if you could delete that row DF in the text edit document, are you there?
No, I can't hear you. You're like cutting off.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so delete that row DF. Okay, and then maybe you could leave a space or delete the space if you could put spaces in your code to make things more organized looking. But okay, so let's say we didn't want that line of code because we didn't really want to see all that data dump. So we deleted that. We saved this. It's a text document, so just resave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could close this. And then you walk away, right? Your R is closed, your data is saved and nicely organized and reviewed, and then you come back next day and you open up a fresh session of R and you open up your code. Yeah. Clear that history, right? Open up your code file that we just were looking at. Copy and paste that into R and hit return. And bam, why is this popping up? Because remember the file choose wants you to pick your file. So
Right.
you wanted that. So hit paste again. Don't X that out. You hit return. So find your data set. That's the code. Be careful. That's not the data set. Go find the data set that you downloaded from Blackboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the code, yeah, the data set is what it's asking for. Open that. And not only did it import the data, but then it ran the next line of code, which was the str. Right? And this is exactly where we ended off, right? Hopefully you're doing more work than just 2-3 lines of code at a time, but this should give you an idea of the workflow, okay? And as you can see on the right, the command list is starting to grow, okay? All right, so that's how you save, close, and then restart up in R. It's all the history. So save history, open it up in a text edit document, clean it up, and resave it once you clean it up. Then when you start up R again, copy and paste that code in again and get yourself back up to speed from where you were when you left off.